Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there. I hope you all had a great Labor Day and a awesome, hopefully 3-day weekend at least. I know for me, I've been off since last Wednesday. Just took off for chasing Hurricane Idalia and just took off the rest of the week. Used some time off and just been enjoying the time off from work. But I'm also looking forward to getting back to the normal flow, normal routine of things as I head back to my full-time job starting tomorrow. So I know that my vacation, I guess you would say, is over, and just excited to get back to a flow of things. But hope you guys are doing well out there. Appreciate you folks joining me. We're here to talk about the tropics. Chances are pretty high we're going to have a powerful hurricane here in the next several days. I think by the time we get really into this, about a week from right now, I think we'll be dealing with a major hurricane in the Southwest Atlantic somewhere. It's just trying to figure out where this thing's going to go. Okay, we can have a powerful hurricane all day long, but is it going to affect land? So we're going to continue to pump out updates for you folks because things can change, and I'm actually going to show you guys an example of how things can change. I'll be showing you an example of Hurricane Florence. For you folks in the Carolinas, you know all about Hurricane Florence. A lot of people just thought that was going to be a fish storm, okay, and then it wasn't. So we're going to kind of show you an example of that. We're going to compare some model guidance. We're going to take a look at what Invest 95L looks like right now, which is eventually going to be Lee, which will be the next named storm. It's a simple name to say, Lee, thankfully. And we'll take a look at some ensemble guidance. We'll talk about why this could go where it could go, the steering currents. And then we'll talk about why this has the potential and a very high likelihood to become a powerful major hurricane. So with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. Let's get rolling tonight. Latest update from the National Hurricane Center from around 5 p.m. We got this weird new area of interest, but I think it's kind of funny looking up here. That's way up here in the North Atlantic, and just because of the steering currents could drift back southeast. So definitely watching that, but not watching it too hard. This is actually the leftover from Franklin. Okay, it's pretty wild to think that Franklin is still kind of the skeleton of Franklin is still out here, and it could maybe redevelop. We'll have to watch that, but definitely I don't think that's going to bother anybody, even though it looks like it's getting kind of close to Europe. But we now have this wave that's going to emerge off of the coast of Africa. Now has a 50% chance to develop. So this could be Margot. It very well could be. Now up to a 50% chance to develop in the next 7 days. But really, this video is going to be about this. Invest 95L has a 100% chance to become a depression or a storm, a name, which when it becomes a tropical storm, that means it takes a name. Probably sometime in the next maybe day or two. Okay, so this is a pretty healthy looking tropical wave, and in fact we'll go on and look at it right now. But as of now, I will tell you there's no cone of uncertainty, okay, because it's not a tropical depression or storm. This could change as we get into this time tomorrow. It's important to continue to come back for updates, whether you're getting updates from me or somebody else. So we take a look at the Atlantic Basin. All right, you see this vigorous wave coming off the coast of Africa. All right, and then this is what's likely going to be Lee. This is our tropical wave. This is what's likely going to really gain a lot of attention. Okay, maybe even some hype, but it's going to take a lot of attention in the weather world. This little blob that you see right here is likely going to become a major hurricane at some point once it gets into this region right here, the Southwest Atlantic. But this is it right here, pretty healthy tropical wave at this point, moving pretty much east to west, which is typically what tropical systems do in this portion of what we call the tropical Atlantic or North Atlantic or main development region, MDR for short. So this is chugging along, and we get a little bit closer look at the sun has set on it. But before the sun set, as you can tell, there is a low-level circulation into here. It's just, is it well-defined? Is it not? I think this will continue to become more well-defined over the next 24 hours. But this is a nice, compact tropical wave. It's definitely got a nice moisture bubble to it, so not a whole lot of dry air penetrating this. And eventually, over the next day or so, this will develop an incredible a favorable upper wind pattern, and we'll talk about that, which basically means all bets are off at how strong this could be. It's basically going to get into an environment that favors at least moderate strengthening, and at some point could rapidly intensify. But as of now, tropical wave. Maybe by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, it could be a tropical depression. But as of now, it is a very healthy looking compact tropical wave out here in the central main development region. So let's compare some model guidance. Okay, let's take a look at the latest European, and we'll start off by looking at that main development region, the tropical Atlantic, which is right here. This is the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. Then we see the southwest areas of the Bahamas here. So we'll start off by looking at this. We'll go all the way to this coming Saturday morning. All right, we'll take it to tomorrow morning. Basically a tropical wave, could be a tropical depression. We'll take it all the way to Wednesday morning. All right, September the 6th. At this point, I think that this is beginning to strengthen. We could have a tropical storm. We could have Tropical Storm Lee at this point, the morning of September 6th, which is here in the next 36 hours. Okay, we continue to keep this moving here. We take it to Thursday morning. At this point, we have a sub 1,000 millibar low pressure, what is likely a strong tropical storm. Sometime Thursday morning. We go another 24 hours into Friday morning. Okay, Lesser Antilles here. At this point, Friday morning, we have an all-out hurricane. We would have Hurricane Lee. There was a question on whether this wave behind it would form before this, but most model guidance is pointing to that not happening anymore. So this is going to take Lee, and this could potentially take Margot, the next name after Lee. So at this point, we have a 975 millibar low pressure Category 1, maybe low end Category 2 hurricane. Okay, but the good news is for our folks in the Caribbean islands, this looks like it's going to head north as it gets stronger and tries to push up against some ridging on top of the storm, which we'll discuss here in a second. We take it to Saturday morning. Okay, what I want you to notice here is this basically goes from a 975 millibar low pressure hurricane to Saturday morning, it goes to a 964. So that's a pretty decent amount of strengthening at this point. Saturday morning, you have an all-out, most likely a Category 2 hurricane just north and northeast of the Leeward Islands. Okay, we go on and get a little bit closer to home. We take a look at the southwest Atlantic. I think most people know where we are at this point. Florida, Georgia, Carolinas, Virginia, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Haiti here, Jamaica right into here, which I don't think this is going to get into the Caribbean. So if you're worried in your Jamaica, Caribbean, this is definitely not looking like it's going to get into the Caribbean. All right, so we continue to keep this going. We go to a Saturday morning. This thing is deepening to a 932 millibar low pressure hurricane. One would argue that this is a Category 4 hurricane at this point. Okay, but not bothering anybody. That's the good news. All right, at this point, it continues to strengthen. Okay. It stays about the same, but there is a period somewhere in here. Let's see if we can get to that point. Yeah, it strengthens right here. I'm sorry. So we'll take it to Monday morning. Still a powerful, maybe Category 4 hurricane. All right, so this is just under 7 days from now, the morning of September the 11th. Okay, this is north of the Lesser and Greater Antilles. Not bothering them, not bothering the Bahamas, Bermuda right up here. And look at this. This strengthens even more. Barely. It doesn't move much. We take it to Tuesday morning, okay, almost 7 days from now. This is a 917 millibar low pressure hurricane based off the Euro. That is a Category 5 hurricane, most likely. Category 5 is as high as we get. So don't listen to the crazy TikTok lady. Category 6 hurricane does not exist. But powerful hurricane. And you're thinking, you freeze it here at this time like, oh no, this looks like it's creeping towards the southeast. Well, if you keep this going, even though we're getting past 7 days at this point, which is an unreliable time frame, this starts to take an abrupt turn north. Okay, and still a powerful hurricane, but loses some steam, obviously. It's hard for these storms to maintain Category 5 status. They'll typically kind of waffle back and forth in strength, but we take it into Wednesday morning, still a powerful hurricane, and then we'll go all the way to a Thursday morning of September 14th, not this Thursday morning. It just tells you how long we're going to be talking about this, and it looks like it's heading out to sea. And I'll tell you why it heads out to sea here in a second, but you got to watch out in Bermuda. Okay, so this run of the Euro, looks like it's might be heading out to sea. Now, we don't know what would happen after this. Could this get tugged back in, kind of like Sandy? Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. So let's take a look at the GFS, which is only 204 hours out, so this is still running. So we're not going to go, unless while I'm talking to you guys to death, we can make it to 240 by the time we get to the Southwest Atlantic frame. But latest GFS, literally the latest one, we'll take it to Wednesday morning. We have a tropical storm. We have Tropical Storm Lee, 993 millibar low pressure right in the middle of the tropical Atlantic. Okay, so this is getting its act together fast. Okay, and then we take it to Thursday morning. We have a 983 millibar hurricane. All right, September 7th, Thursday morning here in a few days. We keep on going, guys, and we get into Friday morning, September the 8th. Man, 965 millibar hurricane, Category 2 hurricane, creeping up on the Leeward Islands. But look at it, it's beginning to kind of move further north. And then we take it to Saturday morning. We have a 943 major hurricane. Well, this would likely be a Category 3, maybe a low-end Category 4 hurricane at this point. Okay, so both models, powerful hurricane. We take a look at the last few models. Not a whole lot of difference here. Okay, both show, and the European and the last few GFS model runs show a powerful hurricane northeast of the Leeward Islands. So we go on and flip it to this, and we'll go on and speed up in time. Let's take it to Saturday morning, right here. Here it comes, creeping up on your screen. We can only go to about 210 hours out, unless we can get a couple more little panels that come through on Tropical Tidbits while we're talking. But we continue to keep this moving. We get into a Sunday morning, and yep, about the same strength hurricane, probably Category 3, low-end Category 4 hurricane, Bermuda right in here. And we continue to keep this going. And then we get into Monday morning. This gets to about where the Euro was. So around the morning of September 11th, we got a very powerful hurricane right around where the Euro is. There's incredible model consistency and agreement with basically where the tropical system is now to about a week from right now. Both models agree. They agree big time. Okay, we take it to Tuesday morning. All right, this is a large, powerful Hurricane Lee. We take it to Wednesday morning, and this is a little bit further west than the European. Okay, it's kind of taking its time turning north. All right, and this is about as far as we can go. But if you notice on the last two panels, this kind of jolts a little bit westward. Okay, this leads me to believe, and the GFS has been hinting at this, that this gets tugged on at some kind of feature. And let's go, actually, I'm sorry that this is everywhere. This gets tugged on by some sort of feature up here. Okay, so we got to watch, because the GFS does not like the abrupt turn that the Euro does. And this is unfortunately as far out as we can go. I might try to flip back to this here in a second and see if we got some more panels. But at the end of the day, this 222 hours out. We don't know exactly what this is going to do this far out. It's very far out. So take a look at the European ensemble. This takes us to 144 hours out. So this takes us to Sunday morning. A lot of model agreement that we're going to have a powerful hurricane just north and northeast, potentially, or maybe northwest of the Leeward Islands, the Lesser Antilles, okay? Or somewhere maybe just north of Puerto Rico. A lot of model agreement here, right? But we go out another 60 hours here, all the way out to, what is this, the morning of September the 13th, okay? There's a little bit of disagreement. Most of them do make that abrupt turn out to sea. But you got a couple little stragglers that are wanting to move a little bit further west, right into here. Remember, the European ensemble makes up 51 members of the ensemble. Okay, we kind of go back and look at the GFS, and we only got one more. But I mean, you see it's moving northwest. I would say more so just north. So we're not sure what this is about to do. Is it about to flirt with disaster here in New England? At the end of the day, if this was to keep chugging right into New England, that's 10 days out. Okay, but it is something to watch. Do we get some sort of blocking high that builds on the northeast side of this and makes this and basically forces this to go into New England? Man, we don't know. There's just so many variables out there. What we do know is water temperatures support strengthening of this tropical system. I know this is in Celsius, but 29, 30, 31 degrees Celsius is in the mid to upper 80s in Fahrenheit, which is very supportive for tropical development. If you're wondering what's up with this cool spot right here, that is from Idalia and Franklin. Has actually created some, basically turning of the water upwelling, and has cooled the temperatures down in this region, but they will warm back up. But definitely warm waters into this region, which is where Lee's most likely going to go, that supports tropical development for sure. Another thing that definitely supports the potential for rapid intensification is the upper wind pattern. What you're looking at is winds about 35 to 40,000 feet up in the air. So in these blues you see, that's where there's shear, okay? And basically higher winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So, you got 30 to 40 knots, 30 to 40,000 feet up in the air, okay? Now keep your eyes down here. And I've talked about this in the last several videos. Here's the L that pops up on the latest Euro. All right, so we'll stop it. We'll go on and take it to right. Well, let's go on and bring it right here, okay? This coming Wednesday afternoon. You have an excellent, we can call it multiple things. Weather terminology is what you call an ULAC, an upper level anticyclone, or we can call it an anticyclonic flow. We can call it an outflow. You can call it many things, but basically what you got here is you see these streamlines and these arrows that are pointing these ways right here. All right, I'll go on and draw on here. So you got the arrows pointing this way. You got the arrows pointing this way. You got the arrows pointing that way, and then that way. You would think, all right, well, this looks like this system is surrounded by shear. It's not. This is basically an outflow being created by the system, and incredible, basically a very supportive upper wind pattern that will support ventilation for this system. So what we do know is these tropical systems in the northern hemisphere, they move, they basically rotate like this. We know that, right? So if you don't, now you do. And then you've got a flow on top of the storm moving in the opposite direction. So you would think, well, Mitch, that seems like that would disrupt the circular flow of the tropical system. It does not. So, and basically the low levels, you got this thing spinning like a clock, like this, right? And the upper levels, you got winds going in the opposite direction. So basically this air rises in the center of the circulation of these tropical systems. So the air rises and then they hit the winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And because you got winds moving in the opposite direction, it basically pushes air away from the center of circulation. This allows more air to rise rapidly, and then it gets pushed out because you have an anticyclonic flow, a flow in the opposite flow as the tropical system, and then more air rises, gets pushed out, allows for more air to rise quick. So what does that mean? Well, we know that rising air, and if you don't, now you do, rising air symbolizes, can create more convection. More convection, shower, and storm activity tells us that we have a healthy tropical system because it's popping off thunderstorm development. And that is what these outflows do. And this is already beginning to get that healthy outflow, anticyclonic flow over this tropical system. Already right now as I speak, it's already developing. So we get this off your screen, and if you notice, and I hope that makes sense for you folks. If not, tell me and I'll try to explain it again the best way I can. But you notice this flow around it continues. We get into Thursday, we get into Friday, it's still here, even though you don't see blue connected right here. It still has an excellent flow and basically an outflow around this. And it continues to have it, even into this region. There's nothing affecting this system really. And it has a massive anticyclonic flow into here. This thing is just breathing and living its best life. And that is why this thing rapidly intensifies right in this region. I know you're thinking, well, this is connecting right here. Well, just ignore that. When these systems get this powerful, they kind of create their own. The stronger they get, the stronger these hurricanes get, the more that they are influenced in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Okay, because they're tall, the thunderstorm development is tall, and you basically have higher cloud tops, which higher cloud tops mean they're reaching higher areas aloft, which means in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So they're steered more. One, they're steered more by upper level winds, and then they almost can create their own upper level winds. As you can tell, if you look really closely here, you see how these arrows are moving in this direction. This storm is so powerful at this point that it's basically got the upper level winds spinning in the same direction as its low level circulation. And that tells you have a pretty powerful storm in this case. So that's why this is going to strengthen most likely into a very powerful hurricane. So we get this off our screen here and we keep it rolling. But talking about the steering currents, so the orange and the warmer colors you see on your screen, that is ridging, high pressure, okay? The higher heights, okay? The blue on your screen, that could be an upper low, an upper trough, trough of low pressure. It's lower heights, okay? We know that the tropical system is a low pressure itself, right? So it's going to be indicated in the blue right here. So you see these warmer colors kind of right on top of this system. They're right on top of the system. So basically, this is helping to bog this down in lower latitude. Okay, there's ridging all around the system, and on top you have a subtropical high, North Atlantic high right on top of the system. So this is moving more so east to west. Okay, now we keep this rolling, right? And this is continuing to kind of move. It's starting to move somewhat north at this point as we're getting into this coming weekend. You can see it's starting to kind of move a little bit further north, still affected certainly by this ridging right in here. And if you don't know, you see this ridge, you see the 594 right here. You got a flow around this that's like that. So that's why this is pushing to the west like that. So a flow is basically... It's always kind of hard to explain because it depends on where the most intense ridging is. But basically, this is going to move when there's ridging building right on top of this system. This is always going to move, in this case, east to west. Now, you get this back off the screen here. Keep this rolling. And let's see. Now, I want you to watch what happens right over the eastern U.S. Okay? Still being affected by ridging at this point as we get into next week. But then the ridging disappears, and then troughing weakens that. Well, troughing weakens that ridging. See the blue here? That's trough. And that's basically a trough with an associated cold front. Okay, this could actually bring a cool down to the eastern U.S. maybe sometime next week. I'll actually talk about that here in a second from the 6 to 10 day Climate Prediction Center outlook here in a second. But as you can tell, all of a sudden those warmer colors you see on your screen are gone. So watch this, right? Okay, warmer colors on your screen indicating ridging, high pressure on top of the storm. As soon as this disappears, right, it immediately feels that weakness and starts to head north. All right, so think of this as basically a cold front, trough of an upper trough that digs down into the eastern U.S. And basically this is helping 10 days from now to push this away from the eastern U.S. Now, we do have to watch if this gets cut off or something and actually becomes like an upper low and maybe yanks this back to the north and the northwest. Kind of like what the GFS is wanting to hint at. But you also have, watch this, right? You actually have some ridging that's building back on top of the basically on the northeast side of the storm. So you remember you got a little bit of a flow that's kind of going like this around this area of orange right here. So this is why this, if this continues to build, it could help to aid to push this more so like this or kind of like this. So if you're in like Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, I would really pay attention to this. Bermuda also, okay? But that is ultimately going to be a massive factor on this, is this upper trough that develops over the eastern U.S. and tries to basically bully this hurricane back out to sea. Okay, so we need to figure that out. One thing I want to show you guys, okay, I think this is very important. My buddy Aaron is a good friend of mine. He posted an amazing GIF of basically tropical storm and then what became major Hurricane Florence. Okay, so what you're looking at here, hopefully it's coming on pretty clear on your screen here, and I'm about to get this in motion, is this is the outlook for September 1st, 2018, which is the year we had Florence. And for you folks in the Carolinas, you know all about Florence and kind of the weird nature of it, how it stalled out off the coast of southeast North Carolina and just sort of drifted into the Carolinas. So I want you to watch this, right? This is the National Hurricane Center cone of uncertainty. I want you to watch how much it changes. And the reason I'm showing you this is just to let you guys know how much things can change. They can change so much. There can be such high confidence that this is going to be a fish storm and going out to sea. But all of a sudden things change. And what we thought we knew isn't the case. So we're going to get this on motion. At this point, September 1st, 2018 is a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm. So we get this in motion, right? Okay, this is chugging along. And I want to stop it right here. Right here. Okay, so this is the outlook for Tuesday, September 4th, 2018. The 11 a.m. advisory at this point is a Category 1 hurricane. And look at the cone. You think that this thing is not only going out to sea, but it's going way out to sea. It's not even going to affect Bermuda. Okay? And at this point, I remember here in South Carolina, I'm thinking, we don't have to worry about this no more. And I think 99% of the people thought the same thing. But things changed. A ridge began to show up right over the eastern U.S. And then watch how this changes. Okay? Watch it as it begins to shift. And then all of a sudden, stop it right here. We're in the evening of September 6th. And guys, that's what, a 2-day difference? So from September 4th to September 6th, all of a sudden this looks like it's going out to sea. And then suddenly it's forecast to become a major hurricane and moving south of Bermuda. Okay? And we keep this in motion, and we know what ended up happening. This ended up making a landfall right here, right where it said it was going to make landfall at this advisor right here. Still a strong tropical storm. But this did end up becoming a major hurricane. I believe it was 140 miles per hour right at this point. And it did make landfall in North Carolina. And it stalled out right in here. So this is pretty much as far out as I'll take it. But it just goes to show you that you got to pay attention to storms like this. You really do. There can be such high confidence this is going out to sea. But then suddenly, it's not. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Have yourselves a great day. And I'm sorry, a great evening. And I'm saying that, and I actually want to show you one thing. One more thing here. This trough, I don't think I've ever done that where I was about to sound it off and then kept going. This trough right here on the European, you see the blue, it's a little bit closer. It could be the thing that knocks what you see right here on out to sea, right? But one thing this could do also for folks that are really wanting that taste of fall weather again, with the feel of fall weather, is this same trough could cool us down. This is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook for 10 to 14 day from September 10th through the 14th. Look at this, a chance of below average temperatures in the Ohio Valley areas, the Mid-Atlantic, the Mid-South. Okay, so this could bring us a cool down. You look at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, which takes us through the 18th of September, a chance of below average temperatures. So it's a lot to figure out, guys. It really is. But we're going to sound it off now. You guys have an awesome Monday evening, and I'll talk to you in the morning. God bless.